A very good evening to all of you. At the outset, it gives me immense pleasure as an institution that we have started delivering our social responsibilities right from the day one when this COVID pandemic got started, and when the government declared all India the lockdown. During that time, we did not stop, and we started utilizing all our resources, technical support, and all our faculty staff started involving themselves into this altogether new horizon, paradigm shift in altogether delivering methodology. So that is from offline to online. So in fact, online our students and staff used to attend some session from the eminent personalities, but it has become a day in, day out, our kind of a practice and habit of conducting this online sessions on day-to-day basis. And during that time, we thought, how about utilizing the knowledge of eminent personalities in the interest of the society as a whole, along with our students, our staff, and also the other people in the society can also be given an opportunity when all of them, feeling it's all about dark across the world, but still then a light of a lamp of a knowledge, somewhere we started spreading by, participation of eminent personalities, by they also cooperating us in conducting these kind of sessions. This journey of online classes at our institution started, online sessions by the eminent personalities somewhere on 9th of April, where Mr. Deepak Shetty, retired IAS officer, Government of India, who was the secretary to the Government of India, he addressed on the crisis management, how the government machinery works in such a pandemic situation. So that was one of the very important session for the young learners. And on 12th of April, we had Professor Pradeep Khandwala, former director of IIMA, who addressed on managing civilizational excellence. And on 21st of April, Dr. Anand and Dr. Aditya Pandurangi, they spoke on the implication of lockdown on mental health of students and role of parents. And 23rd of April, we had Professor Mukund Dikshit, who has addressed on the colloquium of case teaching during COVID times and beyond. And on 2nd of May, we had Chartered Accountant Nataraj Murshale, who spoke on the nurture the future. And on 5th of May, we had Professor I.V. Rao, T.V. Rao, Chairman, TVRLS, former professor of IIM Ahmedabad, and he spoke on sapling to forest, a journey of HR in India. And on 6th of May, we had Prasanna Kulkarni, resource person, BSc, who spoke on basics of stock market opportunity for the beginners. And on 8th of May, we had Dr. Arundhati Kulkarni, Dean Higher Education Academy, Dharwad, on the topic, Overview of Intellectual Rights in India. On 12th of May, we had a session from again Professor Mukund Dikshit, former faculty from IIM Ahmedabad, so who spoke on from case teaching to case writing, and it was a workshop conducted for the interested faculties and who are going to contribute these cases on the workshop conducted by Professor Mukund Dikshit. And 18th of May, we had V. Pradeep Kumar, who is an author and educational consultant, and he spoke on a topic, employment scenario at present in the country. And then we had on 19th, Professor Abraham Koshi, former faculty from IIM Ahmedabad, he spoke on the marketing area. And on today, that is 6th of June, we have another eminent personality, Professor A.K. Jain, who is also former faculty from IIM Ahmedabad, who has served 45 long years in that IIM Ahmedabad. And the topic who has chosen is customers, COVID, and strategic market choices. So in fact, it gives me an immense pleasure as an institution. I take this pleasure of extending my welcome to Professor A.K. Jain, so who has started his service somewhere in the year 1968. And in fact, I'm very happy to welcome you, sir, for today's session, where you have started your service in this teaching profession that before I born. So I'm very happy to welcome you on behalf of my management, on my own behalf, on behalf of all my colleagues who are here, and also all the invitees for today's session. So warm welcome to you, sir. And at the same time, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Mukund Dikshit, so who has been attending all our sessions and very kind enough, very cooperative in organizing such events and programs. So on behalf of each one of you, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Mukund Dikshit. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to Professor Chachidi, who is the former Dean and Director of KIMS KUD and also mentor and Professor Emeritus of our institution. So welcome to you, sir. And I'd like to extend a welcome to Director Academics of our institution, Dr. Ramakant Kulkarni, and the Principal of our Commerce College, Dr. A.R. Vadkanavar, Professor M.B. Hooley, and all the learned colleagues, and also the invitees, the eminent personalities participating in this particular program across the country. So, and many directors, faculties of the various institutions of this part of the state, and also my dear young and energetic student friends. So I'd like to extend a welcome to each one of you to this particular program. So thank you everyone for joining us on this particular occasion. Now I'd like to request my colleague and senior professor of our institution and director academics, Dr. Ramakant Kulkarni, to introduce to the audience Professor Jain on this occasion. Thank you. Professor Ramakant Kulkarni, it's over to you now.
Thank you so much, sir, for the welcome. And it's my indeed pleasure to introduce Professor A.K. Jain, whom I have been chasing for the last 2 months to have a session. And finally, we are on today with that. Who has spent 50 years in IIM Ahmedabad campus with a very illustrated career, has a biodata which runs into pages, but it is my effort, sincere effort to concise it and bring the highlights of his career, which spanned 50 years in IIM Ahmedabad. Professor Jain is born in 1945, completed his BE, that is engineering in mechanical engineering from Jodhpur. Then in 1968, he joined IIM Ahmedabad as the student of the PGP. Then he continued his stay as research associate. Then he joined the fellow program, and in 1974, he joined the same institution, IIM Ahmedabad, as the faculty in marketing. And formally he retired in the year 2010. From 2011 onwards to 2019, he continued his association in the same institution at adjunct faculty. So that is how, as a student, as a research associate and research student and a faculty, today is 50 years that he has spent in that campus. And during these 50 years, he has taught the various best marketing brains that we have been seeing in the country today. Some of the names can be Rama Bijapurkar, Sudhir Sitapati, then our own Abraham Koshi, then a couple of the Harish Bhatt of Tatas, and these are just a few names, but the list can be as big as he has the number of batches, that is 45 numbers he has taught. His main interest in areas are marketing, particularly the consumer-based business strategy and the marketing research areas. That is how he has contributed to the field of marketing. But incidentally, his joining IIM Ahmedabad is not what is known as a regular affair. What the social media, one of the interviews, he says that after his engineering, he made multiple attempts to join the industry, but somehow he was not able to get in there. And then he saw his friend filling the application for IIM Ahmedabad, and he also filled up. What we say later, rest is the history. Even his joining marketing area is also has a small anecdote. When he was asked to choose an area for his faculty, then he started eliminating the area, then finally thought marketing is the area for him. And that is how he joined the marketing stream. And today he is one of the best professors of marketing from that institution. That is how Professor Jain's career has been. During his career, he has offered broad area of the courses, as I said. Then that career also has many of his accomplishments. IIM Ahmedabad, he has had various committees, he has had various positions and contributed to the development of IIM Ahmedabad. What one can say, the entire journey of IIM Ahmedabad and his career has almost coincided for last all these 5 decades. As the professor of marketing, he has contribution to the academics by way of cases, monographs, and so many other areas. He also has the distinction of being a best professor as far as the case method is concerned, which Professor Mukund Dixit has on many occasions has shared with us. Professor Mukund Dixit has also shared his style of teaching, which happens to be that I will push you through the wall. To that extent, he has helped the students to learn on their own. And that is why some of his, over the years, the ideas that he has developed for his transfer the onus of learning to participants, help develop listening ability for better appreciate and comprehend new learning, help participants get own feedback on usefulness of learning, application-oriented research, consultancy projects with organization that should help develop application orientation of faculty in both research and teaching, then exposure of faculty to managerial experiences, design cross-discipline courses for applied integrative learning, and the list goes on. This is what is the a brief profile which I could cull from the long few pages that I have been able to get, and with his consent, this is the profile I can share with you. Welcome, Professor Jain, for this session. It's indeed a pleasure to have you with you today on a very, very important topic which you have chosen to share with you, that is consumer, COVID, and the strategic marketing choice. Now the session is for you. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us.
Thank you, Professor Ramakant. Now I'd like to request Professor A.K. Jain to start with this session. So it's your time now, sir.
Thank you very much for all the kind words. Am I audible? Okay. Can you transfer the screen to me? Can I have the screen for put on my PPT?
Yes, sir. You can share the screen. You are enabled.
Okay. All right.
Sir, you can click on share screen.
I'll try again.
Yeah. Yeah, started. Just go ahead, sir.
I'll be able to do this.
Yes, it is visible.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's very nice. Thank you very much for all the kind words. I think I am very happy to be with all of you and share and learn from you about all several things, particularly the customer COVID and the strategic market choice. Yeah, and I want to mind that is I cannot give any lectures. If that is so, then I need to do something with which I interact with you.
I think you have an issue with your network. It's not clear. Your voice is not clear.
Let me say, are you able to hear me all right?
Yeah, sir. Now it is bit clear.
Okay.
Yeah. It's clear now.
Let me just try one moment if this can help.
You can speak up, sir, now.
Yeah, I look at this. Just me. Uh,
This PowerPoint, you can make it as a slide.
just give me. I think.
Then, sir, your voice is breaking.
Dr. Corey, find out where it requires help.
Yeah. So, Professor Jain,
Put some technical person on the job.
yes, Professor, do you need any support? Yes, Professor Ramakant, can you check?
Ask Ramakant.
Yes, yes, come, yes, come. Yes, sir, please start. Professor Jain.
Yes. I'm starting now.
Professor Ramakant, have you got this mail?
Yes, sir.
Have you got the mail of his presentation?
No,
If you got, you could have shared it.
no, he has not sent it.
Once you can request Professor to send it, we'll share it.
Survey.
Yeah.
Ask Ramakant to talk to him on telephone.
Yes, yes, sir, we'll do that.
Then you get to know what problem he
Yeah,
has.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He is not taking phone. He is making arrangement, I think.
Okay, okay, okay.
Professor Jain, do you need any assistance?
Well, how is it now?
Your voice is there, but your screen is not visible.
Professor, you can send that mail to Professor Ramakant. Anyway, you have his ID. We will share it from our side.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, please do that.
Ramakant, find out whether he can speak without the, PPT. That also is okay.
Yeah, I'm sending the video. 1 second.
Yes, Professor, you can start now.
Am I
Yes,
audible now?
yes, yes, go ahead.
Okay, and it depends on my sharing. No.
Yeah. If you want, you can make it a slideshow or F5.
Okay. Let me know. So I think what I want for this is to
Some problem.
able to see the slide.
We can see the
You
screen.
can project your and if you wish, that's okay.
Your voice is breaking continuously.
I think there's a problem.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
There seems to be some problem with the internet connection.
Yeah, correct.
I think
Sir, as an alternative, keep your laptop on muted, come on mobile. You keep your laptop muted, come on mobile for speaking, have a look at the laptop.
There is a suggestion that you can log out and log in again.
yeah, I did this times it doesn't seem to be working. I think this aspect of mobile may be better. Professor, can you send me the link on my mobile by WhatsApp?
I'll send it, immediately I'll send it.
Yeah.
I'll send it just now on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Reach. Yeah. Am I there?
Yes, sir, you are clear now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Audible? Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah.
How about now? Okay.
You can make your laptop mute. Laptop or desktop, make it mute. You can speak in mobile. Now, looking at your screen over there. Else I can mute it from here, no worry. Yes, sir, you start. You speak in a mobile.
Yes.
Yes, yes, go ahead. I have muted, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first slide is on disease kidney stone.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to switch off the gone. Yeah, okay.
Sultan ada. Oh, Sultan.
Yes, Professor, you can speak up.
Yeah. I cannot see you actually. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so fine, we'll continue with that. Okay, so the first slide that I've sent you is all human beings may have stones in the kidney or somewhere. Now, this disease can cause some kind of a symptom or it may not. Now, the customer decides whether to visit a doctor. Now, the doctor may be a general practitioner, Ayurvedic, homeopathic, allopathic, as the slide says, right?
Yeah.
And then that person may advise medicines or visit a specialist or ask for a lab test. Now, if it is a lab test or a specialist, the customer has to decide which lab to take the test, or similarly, which specialist. Now, suppose he visits a specialist, then that person may advise either medicine or the person can advise surgery. Now, the surgical, there are three kinds of possibilities. One is a full surgery, second is a procedure called PCNL, and third is through a machine called lithotripsy. Let me give a little background to this. Surgery would take 2 to 3, at least 3 to 4 days, or sometimes even a week in the hospital. PCNL is a procedure which can be done in 3 days maybe. Lithotripsy is a day kind of a operation, which is just you go there, sit on the machine, and they take out the stones through sound waves. Very strong sound waves are thrown at the kidney stones specifically by focusing them well, and then they break up and they then are passed through the urine. Now, the question is, the customer has to either accept this advice or go to another doctor, another system of medicine. Now, if he accepts, then what happens? He has to choose a hospital. Now, what criteria should the customer use for any of these things? We can go to the next slide. Have we moved? Hello, Professor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So this talks about options and criteria for deciding. So the first is which system of medicine. Now we all know what kind of a trust we have in the medicinal system, what kind of experience we have had with it, what would it cost us, and what is our convenience, and so on. Now the same kind of criteria the customer will apply to selecting of GP. GP usually, you have from the earlier experience, you go to the person whom you know well. And the specialist is again, you may or may not know, so you will go by the trust that the GP shows in that person, and maybe family and friends, and maybe cost. Now, which type of surgery or which specific surgeon and which hospital? Again, all these factors come into picture, and the convenience. Now, these are very general things that, any person who is looking from customer's point of view would understand well. Shall we move to the next slide? Professor Kulkarni, have you moved?
So, Purvi,
What happened?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So now my key question to all of us is, who is the customer in the above situation? And may I request some of us to at least respond on the chat board, which I will not be able to see, but I think if I may request Professor Kulkarni or somebody else who is helping us, please respond on your chat board. Any ideas who is the customer? Professor Kulkarni, are we getting any response? Professor Kulkarni?
Yes, sir. Yes, any of the participants, please respond to the professor. Professor is asking a question. Who is a customer? Anybody can respond.
So,
Yeah.
so good evening, sir. I'm Kaveshri here.
Good evening.
The customer is a person who buys a product for his own purpose or to resell it.
That is correct. But in this particular situation, who is the customer?
It could be the caregiver, or it could be the patient, or the GP recommending.
Okay. Or the specialist?
Yeah.
It could also be specialist, no?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Anybody else? Any ideas? Okay, Professor Kulkarni, can we move to the next slide?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Go to the next slide.
Okay. Now this is what talks about for the GP, patient is a customer. For the specialist, the GP as well as patients are customers. For the laboratory, specialist, GP as well as patient. For the surgeon,
Sir,
laboratory-
I'm sharing your slides.
Change the slide.
Yeah, I'm sharing your slides. You can look at the screen. Can you see the screen?
No, I'm unable to see. You should be able to see and the participants.
Yeah, all are able to see. No worry. Go ahead.
That's fine.
Yeah.
This slide at the end here, the noise coming in.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Who is the real customer of all of these people? And that's a question I want some response from our participants. Who is the real customer of all of these?
Patients. Yeah.
Is the question clear?
Yeah.
Who is the real customer of all of these people?
Real customer would be a patient.
Yes, sir, patient.
Patient itself. Who is the customer of patient also? Why is that a patient in any case? Why is he a patient? He was quite healthy otherwise, no? So why is he a patient? He is a patient because he has a stone in the kidney. And therefore, the real customer for all of these people is that stone.
Okay.
Am I communicating?
Yeah. Stone, kidney stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
If the stone did not exist,
Yeah.
there will be no patient. There will be no need to go to a GP.
Yeah.
There will be no need to go to a specialist. There will be no need to go to a lab, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I think this is the most important part that I want to emphasize. When you say who is your customer, yes, customers in the books are defined in very many ways. Those who use your product, those who pay for it, those who clear your orders, and so on and so forth. There are a variety of customers, those who influence families, friends, and so on and so forth. The real customer is what is causing the dis-ease. This is kidney disease, right? Dis-ease is because of stone. And therefore, everybody's real customer is that stone. Now, therefore, the cause of the dis-ease of a customer needs to be figured out. And I'm sure you must have seen very many definitions of who is a customer, right? If I may define that a little differently, many of you must be understanding Hindi or Sanskrit at least, no?
Yeah.
So let's break this customer into two parts. CUST is one, and MER is another. Understand? Customer, the person who dies of pain. Understood? Customer, a person who dies of pain. I think all customers have pains, one kind or the other. The task of a marketer or an organization, whether it is business or otherwise, is to take care of those pains. And what are those pains is something that we need to worry about. Can we go to the next slide?
Yeah. What value is the customer looking for?
Correct. Now again, this slide would have come fully on your presentation, that's okay. But I wanted people to respond to this. So that chance is gone, no problem. Fittingness with the schedule of the person to go through this operation, ability to bear the trauma, these are some of the key things that will help deciding whether the surgery will be taken or not taken. Then is the next is the cost of the treatment, hospital, support of family and friends. They will have to be there to support you. Somebody should be attending you. What there would be time which will go in the recovery after the hospital is left, and the loss of earnings during the process, entire period. And this is an enormous cost. If the number of days is 8 to 10 as in general surgery versus lithotripsy, which is just a day kind of a situation. So the cost differences are very significant. However, the customer will also go for reliability, the risk to the life, and maybe some religious feelings that you don't want to hurt the body. Shall we go to the next slide? We now will conceptualize these values.
Customer values in marketing.
Right. These are the usual values that are being mentioned for quite some time in marketing. Functional value, economic value, cognitive value, emotional value, and spiritual value. I'm sure most of you must be familiar with this, but I just want a reconfirmation from one of you at least. Are these values familiar to you?
Yes.
Most of them are familiar, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's look at what is happening. We can go to the slide 9. Next to next.
Context of COVID pandemic.
Right. Now, who is the customer in this? Or who all are the customers in this is a key point. And the customer is who? Like this kidney stone, who is the customer? The
Patient.
virus. No, the virus.
In this case, the virus. Yeah, the virus would.
Virus.
You have to tackle the virus in various ways.
The virus is the real customer. And there is no way, we don't even know how did it come, right? We don't know how did it enter the human beings. We now know how it is being transmitted, right? Origin of the virus not known. How it infected the humans in the beginning, that is the first human, not known. How does it get transmitted? That part is known to a reasonable extent. Mostly by touch, partly by inhalation. If you keep a safe distance, because it can travel in the air only to an extent, then it will not enter you. And once it enters, what does it do? It attacks your cells and it attacks your organs. Now, if you look at this context and go back to the kidney example, who is the customer? It is either the virus or the cells which are getting affected, can we strengthen them? Or the organs which are getting affected, can we save them? Can we strengthen them? So the kind of focus on where the action needs to be taken, and that's what the customer actually means. Where is the pain really happening? This is very important. Now, the point is, this is all the basic part. But like the person who has a kidney stone, who are the different people here who get affected? We have seen it all. And the most affected people are those who are with the lowest income and whose income source is actually daily wages. We all know that about 90% of the workforce is in this kind of situation. And not only that, they reside in very different places. And places which are very, very dense. They're all much more prone to the person catching the virus. And we all know this doesn't need any more elaboration. Now the point is, if this is to be taken care of, all these people who are getting affected, if they need to be taken care of, then what kind of strategies or strategic market choices need to be made? Can we go to slide 10? Next slide.
Sir, how does it affect?
How does it affect? Yeah, no, correct, that's the slide, correct. It affects about within 14 days. Some people have symptoms, some don't have. It can advance very fast and lungs are most affected besides the cells. And through the cells, it affects lungs actually. Cure not known. Therapy symptom-based. May need hospitalization and admission to ICU with ventilator facilities. Now, if you look at this part, who all will actually worry about all this? And we know the governments have no choice but to worry about this. The situation of the health system, whatever it is, different places it differs. It affects industry, it affects trades, it affects finance, it affects community organizations, and it affects the individuals psychologically, socially, economically. This is the next slide, effect on. Okay? How does it affect and effect on? And very rightly, therefore, given that maybe the health system and the health infrastructure were not ready, lockdown was done. Given that, what happened there is the next slide. And all of us know this, but the next slide just to put it as a cue. Industries got locked out, professional services got locked out, trade got locked out, household health got left out. However, there were some demands which were up for telecom, IT, health, and the most important is affected by COVID, individuals were the most affected. And this led to economic distress all around. Now the point is it only economic distress? It is much more of social and individual distress. And that is where, can we go back to this slide, which is slide number 8, if we can go, Professor Kulkarni.
Yeah. That's about Maslow's hierarchy needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is physiological, safety, love and belonging. These are dominating as of now. Now look at the marketing values or customer values that the marketing was talking about. Functional, economic, cognitive, emotional, spiritual. All of these aspects are individual really. I think it is important to also look at individual in relation to society and the society's aspects themselves. So there can be functional aspects in society, there can be economic aspects of society. Society may also have a cognitive aspect, and society as a whole may have emotions and spirituality. Therefore, it is important to merge these two concepts. Maslow's hierarchy, where the physiological part is essentially individual. Safety is also individual. Love and belonging is towards the others, family, friends, society, and so on. Self-esteem is for oneself, but in the context of the societal framework. Self-actualization is something which is for the individual. So now there is a mismatch, not mismatch, it's sort of a joining of hands of individual-based values and societal-based values needs to be there. And that is what explains possibly the kind of trouble and the kind of difficulties that whole lot of people, particularly the migrants in our country, are facing. At the same time, there are positive aspects from the society. Our own maid servant, she somehow has managed to build 2 rooms which she has hired out for some people who were from another town. Now, when the lockdown took place, those people's job, they were on daily wage kind of a thing. Jobs went away. They didn't have ration to eat. And this lady from her own quota, because she happens to be storing things for the year as a whole, she provided food. So there are both kinds of things happening, positive as well as negative. The point that I'm trying to make is that if you look at different people, not as a mass, but as individuals. Individual groups of, let's say, income category by the type of source of income and the kind of savings that people make, or the kind of economic pressures that they have. So this is something like the macro aspect of customers. Macro aspect of customers is those who can save, who cannot save at all, they're on a daily routine and they don't have anything to eat. They have no sort of stock of things, whether money or more the daily requirements which they can use for their own purposes. That's one group. And like that, you go to the other end where people have no really problem. They have all kinds of, let's say, luxuries available to themselves. Now, unless we look at these groups and their locations, where are they? What would they be looking for? What values will they be looking for? You cannot really devise a strategy. And a strategy which cannot be, let's say, which cannot be put into practice has absolutely no value. Now we can go to slide number 15 if you are okay with that, or 14, let us say. Marketing has 3 kinds of roles. Customer is required both for marketing and for the organization as a whole. If the customer is not there, marketing doesn't exist, organization doesn't exist. So there's no question of any strategy. So marketing strategy is the second level. The first level is functional aspect of marketing, that somebody has said, here is the segment that we need to cater to, and how will this be done is like 4 Ps, which is what the functional part of marketing is. The second level is the strategy of marketing, which implies that you actually decide to select customer groups well. Given a business strategy or given an organizational strategy. The third level is that you help business strategy as of not well. Replace the word business with organization. Organization strategy in terms of its mission, vision, as well as which segments. How can marketing help in that task? So that is the third level of marketing. It helps you choose a business or a strategic dimension. What does it involve is, as we are going to go through the slide on the page 15. 15th slide, Professor Kulkarni, please. Is it there?
Which slide you want to have?
15.
Okay, okay, fine. Yeah,
Okay?
yeah.
So here you see, try and understand the value dimensions of customer requirements. Who the customer is in case of COVID, very different kinds of groups away from their home, not having job, no income, and so on. What are the dimensions of their values? They're essentially looking for not only that they should live, how do they live? They are saying, no, all of them, whether we die of COVID or not, we sure will die of hunger in case we don't move back. So that is the kind of situation that we need to worry about. Who is the customer? Different kinds of groups are there. Identification of them is very important. Then for each of those groups, what are the dimensions of the value? The third part is, or the next second part, which is very crucial in that, is segment the market on the basis of those values, not on the basis of demographics, not on the basis of only area, but in terms of the value that those people are looking for. So the value that migrants are looking for is just be with the family. Now, if that value was understood well, then we'll have to devise. This is called CPVA, is what in our terminology? Customer perceived value advantage. So whatever you do, you need to worry about how can these people, what kind of a mechanism, let's say what do you call it? Front line of your service or offer. In this case, how do we take migrants to, let us say, their homes? And that has to match what kind of values these people are looking for. They want to go fast. They don't want to be hungry on the way. They need food, and so on. We need to identify all that, which is being done to an extent. So identify CPVA, food, reaching home, food, safety, and then back it up by design the offer. How will you deliver? Will it be trains? Will it be buses? Will it be airplanes? Or will they walk? And how do you communicate? Then you need to design processes, systems, organization, and so on. Then check, have your objectives been met? Shall we move to the next slide?
Yes, sir. Assessing CPVA.
Right. This says, and this is not for COVID alone, this is for everything. Choose a customer who is the toughest nut to crack. Am I communicating? Don't choose normal customers. Toughest nut to crack. Understand the process by which your product, in which your product or process goes. Understand the mission of the customer. What does the customer look for? Where can you add value? Can you add value to the input of that process? Can you add value to the operations of the process? Can you add value to the output of that process? Can you add value to the objectives of that process? Can you add value to the mission and vision of the customer? Now, I would like to emphasize this last thing. what is the ultimate thing that the customer is looking for in a particular process. And here, that's where I come back to the COVID part. The mission or vision of the customer is just get back home, nothing else. That's the priorities. In another situation, this could be different. And unless what you do can deliver this, it will have no meaning. Now, let us move to the next slide.
Value delivery system.
Yes. So, for delivering that value, as we mentioned earlier, you design what is the advantage that you will offer compared to the option that the customer has. The options of going home are very many, right? So if the government or any private organization or the railways or the state governments, anybody wants to design, they'll have to worry about this part. That it's better than the options available to the customer. And those are the important aspects to keep in mind. Now, how do I provide this experience through the processes and the resources that I have? If I don't have those, I get them in some ways. How do I communicate, and how do I then achieve my organization's whatever objectives they are? In commercial business, there will be profits. There will also be other objectives and mission. Shall we get to the next slide?
Yes, the customer-centered organizations.
Now, this is the crux of this entire presentation. Please read the first sentence very sharply. Customer-centered organizations know their customers' operations and business better than the customers themselves. Does that statement make sense?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to operationalize, but does it make sense is the key.
Yes, it does.
It does. We then move to create those kinds of values and stories around those, and around the products and services so that we can talk to customers. Customer requirements are the starting point, therefore, of designing the products. Next slide.
Customer-centered organizations, continue.
Link their employees or managers' compensation or rewards to customer value creation. We don't see many organizations doing that, but some do. They also dovetail their plans with customers' plans. They dovetail their processes and systems. And there's something at the bottom of that slide which may not be visible. Can you make it up, Professor?
Yeah, sir.
So as to dovetail their vision and values to customer values and vision. Now, this is the last slide that I have, and I want to emphasize and share with you. We have run a course which sort of worries about this kind of stuff for the last 20 years. We also offer, along with Professor Dixit, a program called Customer-Based Strategies. And in that, this last statement is really the crucial one. Your vision as an organization has to match the customer's vision. In most literature, there is no terminology as customer vision or customer mission. Terminology at most from organizational vision has moved to employee vision. Right? Employee vision is an important element because they are the important link between organization and the customer. The task of the employee vision and organization vision is to match their vision with the customers. Let's take this through a somewhat vital kind of illustration example. You are a sadhu, a Mahatma, and you want a large following. Now, unless what you say clicks with the customer's way of looking at life, or you can kindle their way of looking at life according to what you have, you're not going to have anybody, you can as well go to Himalayas. So even if you are a religious person, if you want a following wherever, then you need to match your vision with customer's vision. And customer's vision, you need to enlighten the customer for a vision which is better for the customers. Many customers may not have that vision which is good for them. It is your task, and that's why the first statement in this slide, previous slide, that is, that you must know customer better than the customer himself. I think I will conclude here and await some questions. I will be very happy to answer, and I'm extremely sorry for the interruptions that took place and the problems that I've had in interacting with you. It's all my fault, all at my end. Over to you, Prof. Kulkarni. Any questions, I'll be happy to take.
Shall I stop screen sharing?
Yes.
Professor.
Yeah. The question from Professor Chachidi?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a question.
Thank you, Dr. Jain. I think it was an excellent exposition on the marketing strategies to be evolved in these COVID times. Now, my question is, could you give some example of anyone who has reacted strategically in the sense that you have focused upon to this COVID crisis and come out with some products or services or whatever?
Most recent, I will tell you, Prof. You know Asian Paints?
Yeah.
Asian Paints is getting into something which is going to help in, let's say, avoiding contracting of virus. This is the most recent I can think of now.
Yeah.
Asian Paints has nothing to do with this. You see that?
Right.
Asian Paints is into the interior, exterior of the house. They sort of paint it well. Although they have partly there, they say insect repelling kind of stuff they were doing already.
Good.
Insect repelling too. A virus safe is a long jump.
Yeah.
Direction which that company has been thinking for some time. Not about this virus, no.
Mm-hmm.
The hygiene part within the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, this is the most recent example I can cite to you.
There's one fan company which has come out with a fan which also they say repel these virus related kind of things.
Yeah, this virus is very light. If there's a huge breeze, it will just get blown off. But the only problem is, then it will carry a little longer. Which may be a problem. So fan is one part. But you see, there are many organizations. The way this, I think this entire wave which has come is a little more than, or at least let's say a little different than what is the blue ocean strategy in the literature. Blue ocean strategy says you identify those kind of oceans where nobody else is there so that you don't have to fight them. Now, where will it be that you will not be able to?
Even Mahindra has started producing, ventilators.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this, while it may look like an operational thing which is for the short term, but it is quite likely that if the demand for ventilators is high and if Mahindra is able to do this well, maybe they'll get into another field. So there are many illustrations. Let me share with you the origin of this. The origin of this has not come from academics, no. Origin is from practice. And the practice is one of the original things that at least I know of is, let's say, the Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines was something which operated from town to town and short distances. Their business model was very, very different compared to the large airlines. And the way they worked out, that gave rise to this kind of a focus on the customer. Southwest Airlines in 1990s, even earlier, and we are in 2020.
Yeah.
So, Prof. Chatterjee, there are many illustrations of this, not one. And let me share with you, there is a business school in somewhere in Pune, I think, where they do what? They will talk to organizations, get their profiles of jobs that they have, talk to the managers there, and see through what profile they might need in future for different kinds of jobs.
Mhm.
Then they will come back, ask their profs to design
Mhm.
courses,
To suit that.
programs accordingly. If the resources are not there within, they will seek resources from outside. And the kind of resources, they may in fact go back to those customers that from whom they got these profiles. And they say, look, tell us if you know how to take care of this aspect, please come and talk to our students.
Correct.
They will then project their school as employment ready.
Yeah.
Customers were not customers in that sense, business sense, but in terms of whom we are actually making learn. Those people's aspirations are learning, sure. They also aspirations of getting a good job. So it's happening in different arenas. It's happening in business, it's happening in education. I wish it happens to the same extent in the political arena and the administrative arena.
Yeah, I think very rightly you have said it.
Happy to have more questions if there are any.
There is a question, how can brands engage with customers during these times?
Beg your pardon?
There is a question from someone, how can the brands engage themselves in this situation?
That's an interesting question for
What
me.
are the strategies for brand management?
No, the first thing is to begin with what is a brand. If a brand does not address the requirements of the customer and the values that the customer is looking for, there is no brand actually.
True, true.
If you have a brand, you have to match what you are promising to the requirements or the vision of the customers. If you don't have that, you don't have a brand. So that's one aspect I would like to emphasize. Many of us might be there when Professor Koshi was interacting. He mentioned the same thing, right?
Yes.
A brand has to talk to the customers, understand them, cater to them. Number two, therefore, today, what is it that the customers are looking for? And that is the Asian Paints, by going into the sanitization business,
True.
does brand value go up or not? Anybody who can relate with this? All soap brands are doing it, right?
Yes.
All the soaps are doing it,
All the soaps are doing it. Yeah.
right? Now, I am sure others can do. Now, for example, can there be a quick design of, let's say, a mobile, which is not allowed the fat to sit on it? See, virus, COVID virus is a fat coating and inside is the protein, right?
Right.
Now, if there can be an anti-fat stuff, then the phone will go a long distance. Anything will go a long distance as of now. Not for now only. We don't know what kinds of viruses will come in future.
Now, educational organizations are offering a service that is education. How can they respond and take advantage of this situation?
Right. This is very interesting. What has happened because of lockdown, there have been many problems for sure. But what has happened, one positive thing is that many organizations have said, okay, work from home, right?
Yeah.
Now, work from home means what? Let's say if you're a salesman, if you go out, you have to go somewhere, spend that time, wait in that customer's place. All that time is gone.
Yeah.
Sitting at home, your productivity can go up phenomenally.
True.
If your interface with the customer is sharper, then the productivity can go up phenomenally.
True.
We are seeing this happening in the insurance field for sure.
Mhm.
And banking has not yet picked up that much, although the business is booming. And in terms of digitization, they're also moving. But they were not necessarily required to work from home. Some banks were open, some part of the offices were, banks were open, few people were going there and working. And but those who are working from home, their productivity has gone up.
True.
That is what looks like. It may also be like a stone around your neck, because then you don't know whether it is 8 hours in the office or 24 hours at home in terms of work.
No, even there could be time when students could directly get in touch with the teacher and say, get their problems solved or doubts cleared. This kind of situation is possible here. Yes.
Lot more extra time, the time which was just going in logistics, going around, waiting and so on, all that is cut out.
True.
Although it is another matter that when you work on online, it takes a little more time for communicating with each other. It's the time taken is a little more. As the technology improves, maybe this will go down, but as of now, it takes a little more, including the difficulties that technology has for individuals, particularly like me. And I put all of you in very severe difficulty because my problem. So sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, any more questions? Yes, Professor Uday, go ahead.
Not audible.
Professor, unmute.
What everybody now is observing and talking about is Reliance and Jio.
Yes.
I think that will be a game changer because, like you said, the interface with the customer, if it reduces, the productivity will of course improve. Now I don't have to stand in front of a Kirana shop to understand what his order is. If I can just go and canvas my product and the order is generated automatically, then I think the supply chain improves quite a lot. So
Yes.
that way productivity is bound to improve, I think.
Yeah, productivity will improve not because of COVID, but technology, as you were saying.
Technology, yes. Necessity is the mother of invention. Now, demonetization did not bring in the technology as much as has brought out probably now.
Right. See, the technology exists even now, but this COVID will make it into it in terms of a jump, in terms of uses. Already the what do you call it, transactions on the bank digitization with the banks and so on must have gone up very significantly. There's not much doubt on that count. And all around, like all of us know now, before you go to the shop, particularly because of COVID, can we have a look at the products online? And
Yes.
whole lot of companies have that. Online, they put their products. If they improve it, if they put the videos of how it looks, how it operates, what kind of difficulties you might face when you use it, what kinds of positives are there. So all that backend has to be prepared very well. But once that is done, which is like a fixed cost, then it can run quite a bit. Absolutely, there is no doubt. Any other questions, please?
So, Jain, one question from me, Kulkarni here.
Sure.
You said matching the customer vision to the business vision, that is discussed. But are there any models which have been tested and tried? One you gave up at business school, but in business school, most of the cases that we proceed are generic in nature. Organizations have their own different ideas of the job profile, the job requirement. But does it become rich there then?
Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because there was some disturbance when you were talking, Prof. So that's why I was checking this. See, let me put it this way. We can see those companies. Hello? Yeah, we know many companies.
You want me to repeat what you said?
No, I have heard the question, no problem. We know of companies who are very sharply focusing on to customers, and they're actually looking for the kind of vision that we are saying now. You may say you are able to reach only part of the customer's vision today because of variety of reasons. Then what one needs to do is make three kind of strategies. Given your current, let's say, resources of all types, you can have X part of vision done. Y part will take time. You will have to put your things together. The long-term part will be, you don't know and nobody knows how to tackle that. And if that is so, then you will have to order research to figure that out. Now, conceptually, this is what it is. And that is what, if you really see the, let's say the illustration of, I'm just taking this name, not necessarily that I'm eulogizing this company, Asian Paints. They had, for hygienic homes, they had already moved. Hygiene they can do only through surfaces, that's what they were thinking. Hygiene through air was by air conditioners and so on. People are coming out with air conditioners which can clean the air and things like that. If Asian Paints was to move in the direction where they say a fat will not be able to sit on the walls, that's the kind of paint that we have, then that is what is required. And you already see them, they have moved away from that. Away in the sense, moved away from their current business and say we'll go into sanitization. From there they will learn and come back to surfaces. That's my hunch. So illustrations of this kind are there. If you look at, let me say, okay, you have seen this Tata Sumo?
Yeah.
Yes.
That is small. Huh? It is small truck of Tata. The kind of things that they did was exactly this. They went out, looked at the customers who have, short loads, go through the small lanes and things like that. And then they understood the requirements of that kind of transport of goods to begin with. And they designed the entire platform around it. And that has been one of the most successful stories in the commercial field, commercial vehicle field in India. So there are illustrations from this. They may be more in a smaller sense, not for the organization as a whole. Organization as a whole, the illustrations are like Asian Paints. My hunch is, if there are more questions, I can take. Otherwise, this particular aspect, Professor Dixit, if he is there, he may be able to throw also more light on this.
Yeah, I'm listening to all the illustrations, more to look at it from the perspective of what does COVID do to corporations.
Right.
In fact, my prime concern is as business school faculty, what kind of advice do we give to the public policymakers and administrations? That is where some of our concepts of customer-based strategies would help. Like, for example, we are talking a lot about corona and comorbidity. If you define comorbidity at a higher conceptual level, that would mean the problem of corona and another problem of the customer. Like, for example, people have linked corona and diabetes, but look at corona and hunger, corona and employment, corona and new job opportunities, or corona and doing job differently. then you have interesting customer combinations to relate to. In fact, Chudi had asked this question, what are organizations doing? Now, organizations are public organizations which are deeply engaged in it, because the market-based organizations are under lockdown. They can only think through what they will do, like Asian Paints and others. But the primary concern is how can public policymakers, administrators, our hospitals, our IAS officers, our IPS officers, our ministers, what can they do using the customer concept? In fact, that's where I thought your talk would make a lot more sense. Look at the customer combination and reach out. Just don't make statements, don't be on the road, or then don't make statements, develop immunity. But look at it as a comprehensive marketing strategy, though they may not like to use the term marketing, but whatever strategy they want to use, whatever term they want to use, let them be customer focused. I think I would stop at that stage.
I will add to what you are saying, Kun. This is not marketing strategy. This is an organizational strategy. So if the central government or state government or district authorities, right, if they are interested in a strategy which will help all of the people, let's say one of the important part is these, let's say, people who are actually the households and the individuals, right? And if they have to be addressed, then we need to make groups of these individuals. Groups in terms of, which to an extent has been done on the basis of age, what kind of possibilities of, let's say, either contracting and of mortality. Those two parameters are being used quite a bit, but it's primarily age. I think it's not age alone. Along with age, as you mentioned, one is the dimension of the health part, which is comorbidities. A third dimension is, okay, as you also rightly pointed out, who are these people? What is their situation? What kind of employment they are in? If they go somewhere else, what kind of employment will they need? So, for example, this can be used. This shock of COVID can be used very, very significantly by figuring out and making skill sets of those people who are moving from one place to another, and state governments, district administration, they need to figure out ways of how can we make the growth in hinterland. India has grown far more in the bigger cities, and we know the problems which have cropped up in bigger cities. At this particular time, these kinds of problems will not disappear easily. We need more of smaller places, more of hinterland development, and the task is right with them. They need to figure out, we have these kinds of people coming back. These kinds of people can do this kind of, or they have this kind of skill. Therefore, they can help in setting up this kind of industry. Talk to the industry and say, okay, can these people be helped, or can there be industrialists, small ones even, who can be requested to become, let's say, the anchor points for developing a logistical system, like a supplier base for the main companies who are maybe in bigger places. So very different kind of scenario of development can happen, and that's the positive part of this COVID. Negative parts we have seen quite a few, but the learning which is crucial is, unless we see what is the requirement at last customer level, that requirement to be filled by setting up a small industry, then the requirement of that industry, a person who will put up that industry, then the requirements of the area where that industry will be put up, then who will this serve, and the requirements of that company where the products of this or service of this particular setup will go. So this has to be an entire system. And this, unless the customers, each of these are seen as customers with the primary focus on the end customer, this will not happen. We have to have strategies which can walk the talk. Otherwise, the press strategies are essentially on paper, and we'll keep on making plans and plans, modify them, further modify. That's what I would like to add. Thank you, Professor Dikshit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Any more questions?
So there are some
I have
questions
a
in
question.
chat, sir.
Yeah, while
Yeah. Sir, I understood that whatever you have mentioned about the manufacturing sector, so by cutting my question short in this regard, so I can understand the products and services like sanitizer, education, and Asian Paints. Such brands can work well given the scenario. But what is to be done if you want to survive? If you are an Uber or tourism or travel company, because generally destination matters a lot for such kind of businesses. So in this regard, if you can enlighten us.
You are,
And,
you are already seeing in the media, there are travel agents who are saying this destination is safe. We are taking this steps that you are safe.
yes, sir.
Everybody is doing this. And one who is able to, let's say, if there was a, what do you call this? There was some standard for this, let's say. The standard for COVID proofness, if there was any.
Okay.
If you could follow that, and the government is saying some of guidelines, right? You go beyond that and say, this is what I am. And so it will help. And people are also saying, okay, if, we can book you earlier, you can pay less right now, we'll give a discount when you come. So there are many things which can be done to help the market develop further in these areas.
Okay, sir. And one more question, sir. That being an academician, that I have found the challenges when we go for online teaching. Right. So, as you were mentioning in the classrooms, that there has to be a power in the point, not in the PowerPoint. But now, what to do, sir? Because we will be using the mediated technologies in order to, do the dissemination, the knowledge. Like dissemination of the knowledge is required, and we will be using all the technology-enabled services. So here, sir, to bring the attention span, apart from having a good content, what is to be done to student engagement?
How does one learn? One learns by listening. When you only listen, you forget. Okay? Then the second part is you learn by talking to each other. Okay? And discussing things. And the third is by doing things. Right? Now, so far as this medium is concerned, you can have easily, and that's not a difficult task. Instructor can talk and the participant can listen, but that's not going to be as much effective as you can.
Yes, sir. Yes,
to make that effective, what can you do? And that's what I was trying, but unfortunately, this my end created this problem. If you have a break, you divide your session into few parts, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Key concepts. At the end of one concept, you don't give the entire concept. You give after the discussion. You say, okay, you tell us what it is. So participants put it on the chat. Now, in the classroom, let's say, and this is where online is better. Huh? In the classroom, if 5 people were to talk together, you will not be able to listen. Right?
Yes.
In chat, you 5, 10 people can write simultaneously. It's much easier to read it out. And so if you have either on your own or with a, let's say, colleague who is assisting you in the course, he can say, okay, these are the key points which have come. Now you take them and put a wrap on that. So through that, people are, through this kind of conversation, at the end of each module, each part of the session, you can have learning far better, even compared to maybe in the classroom. physical
Classroom
class.
settings.
Yes.
Classroom settings.
Yes, yes. Second, if you could have, let's say, breakout rooms, and that technology is there in some of these online versions. Breakout rooms, if they were there, you can get the classroom into those breakout rooms and then say, okay, discuss in that, come back and present. That's much easier here. You don't need physical classrooms for that, all that money, time saved. Third, if you, what was the third? My age is telling on me, I've forgotten what was the third. But these two things for sure. Okay, yeah, the third way of learning is by doing. You can actually ask people to do things and come back and report. And you can ask them to take a video of what they're doing. They cannot fool you. In the physical one, they'll go out and let's say they're going for data collection somewhere, right?
Yes,
And then some of them will not go and fill up at the room itself. In this case, you say, okay, you go, take a video, share with me, upload. So now there are ways of working around this.
Engaging the students.
In some of these, this is much more richness. Although there are some aspects which you will not be able to handle well.
Agreed, sir.
Okay. Any more questions, please?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I have no problem. I wasted already 20 minutes and I'm wasting your time now as well. But so far as I'm concerned, I'm fine with it. Prof. Kulkarni, if there are no more questions?
If no more questions, shall we conclude?
Yes, that should be fine.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor, for your valuable time. Now, I'd like to request Professor Uday Lavate, former director of Global Business School, Hubli, who has also come from the pharma industry, then got into academics, to pass a concluding remarks on today's session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Korvi, Professor Jain, Professor Dixit, Professor Chetri, and all the other participants for this lovely interaction. But let me just bring out a few things that Professor Jain mentioned, that who's the customer? Now, many of us went only to the patient level, but then it's not the patient, it's the stone. Why did the stone come at all? If we look at it from the COVID point of view, we find a whole set of customers now. We say migrants, and we sometimes put them at such a low level, poor, all those kind of things. But let me tell you very honestly, a person who's even, say, a lecturer, earning maybe 25, 30, 40,000 rupees, living in a far off place, without food and without proper accommodation, he's just a bachelor living in a bachelor's accommodation. What does he want? Basically, he wants to come back home. Now, is he not a migrant? We call them as daily wagers. Now, those daily wagers might be earning a decent amount of 400 to 600 rupees per day by doing some skillful job. But similarly, a doctor who set up a practice recently without getting patients, is he not a daily wager who's lost his job, who's lost his income? He's not doing any surgeries. Is he not losing his income? Now, I think all this what brings back us to Professor Jain's talk of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think that has come down very clearly on all of us, that wherever we are or whatever we are human beings first, and we have all basic needs. So those who I think succeed in identifying these issues and these needs would probably get into a much better picture, and therefore that CPVA or customer perceived value advantage is something which all of us can take as a key takeaway from this talk. And how do we protect earnings and how do we protect livelihoods? I think these would be the future things that Professor's talk would really bring out in all of us in terms of responses from our side as individuals. I think this was a very interesting discussion, short, but still very, very stimulating to the thought processes that each one of us would be carrying through. And I think such interactions would really be helpful. And maybe another month or so as we go into this another interaction with Professor Jain as a follow-up would definitely be interesting. So thank you, professors, for all these professors. When I say Professor Jain, Professor Dixit, Professor Chachdi, and all the others who participated, Professor Korvi, Dr. Kulkarni, everybody, for this enlightening short talk, and look forward to more of these in the future. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Professor Uday. Now I'd like to request my colleague, Professor Gururaj Patil, to propose a vote of thanks.
Good evening, all. Professor Jain, it was a very insightful session from you. Although there were some technical glitches, the session was very wonderful, and we could learn many things, and a new definition of who's the customer we could get. I would like to thank you on behalf of Chetan Business School, on behalf of director, and on my personal behalf for taking your time out and enlightening us with your sessions. I would like to thank our director, Dr. Vishwanath Korvi, Dr. A.H. Chachdi, Professor Mukund Dixit, Professor Ramakant Kulkarni, and all the attendees who are part of this session from across India. So I would like to thank you all, and Professor Jain, we wish to have a further association with you and further sessions from you whenever you feel comfortable. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And
thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Gururaj, Professor Jain. Thank you very much for your valuable time and sharing a lot of knowledge with all the participants.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, Professor Mukund Dixit, Professor Chachdi. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.